I'll be analyzing the play Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. This play failed to craft a befitting salesman's reputation. Beyond the title and entrance sequence, Miller keeps a fitful hold. It's the idea of a mid-century man who sold things without making them and who paid for things without owning them. He exists as an insulted extrusion of commercial society, batting for a sliver of authenticity before he goes away to the darkness. And remarkably, he is battling without a real villain. He depicts late capitalism and more impersonal things rather than a class struggle. Death of the Salesman is quite cloudy, in my opinion. The salesman figure that comes through is not of a typical one. Indeed, Willie's self-contradictions go beyond normal human inconsistency into the realm of severe criticism. He yells at Biff, "Not finding yourself at age 34 is a disgrace." But later, he adds, "Greatest thing in the world was to see him up around." Miller confuses thematic matters even further by highlighting the success of Dave Singleman, the 84-year-old man, who was Willie's inspiration, but also of a young Bernard who happens to live next door. He is a lawyer in the establishment, world with a wife and 2 sons. Bernard is a deserved success for which Willie feels envy for, as he does for the success of Bernard's father as well, who is also a good businessman with his own office and secretary. Miller had a gift enough to get the idea of Death of a Salesman, but then, in the face of his divided dramatic impulse, he settled for the dynamics of the idea itself to write his play. And those are my opinions of Death of the Salesman by Arthur Miller.
Hi, I'm Wade Bradford. Have you ever had one of those bands that you love all of their songs, like they're your favorite band, but then the one hit single that's on the radio, it's not really your favorite? That's how I feel about Arthur Miller. Death of a Salesman, his most famous play, isn't exactly my favorite one of his. You have to admit the title gives away everything. One day I was reading that play and my daughter came up to me and asked me to read her a few pages, and so I did. When I wasn't even finished reading her what I wanted to, she said, "Stop, this is the world's most boring mystery." And I do agree with her. I mean, it is a drama, not a mystery, but suspense is a very important component of tragedy. When we watch tragedy, we fully anticipate death, destruction, and chaos and sadness, but we don't really know how it's going to happen. We find out towards the end of the novel that it's Willie Loman's own self-destruction that brings him to an end. His own stress about his life because of his failure in his business is what does cause him to commit suicide. His 2 sons are Happy and Biff. Happy is the son who's kind of more ignored by Willie. He has a steady job and keeps promising his parents that he's going to settle down and get married, but really, he's never going to settle down. He's just going to keep having fun with however many girls he can until he dies. Biff is a lot more likable than Happy. He likes to toil around on farms and ranches and working with his hands, but whenever he returns home from business, him and his dad fight all the time. Willie wants him to be big somehow, but Biff doesn't really know how to hold down a 9-to-5 job to save his life. Even though the brothers are in their mid-30s, they don't act like they're any more than teenagers. And by far, Willie Loman is the most exciting character in his life. In the play. His past is very complicated, and it's pretty much a tangle of regrets and undying hopes, which makes him the most exciting character in the whole play. But is he really a tragic hero? In usual, tragedies, heroic stories, the tragic hero has a down flaw, or a tragic flaw that eventually brings him to the end. But he's really a very dramatic, strong character who's out of the ordinary. But in contrast, Willie Loman is just like the common man. Arthur Miller felt as if tragedy could be found in the lives of ordinary people. While I certainly agree, I also believe that tragedy works best when the main character's choices become whittled away. A lot like a great chess player who suddenly discovers she's out of moves. And that's my opinion on Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Thank you.
Come here. Hello, I'm Arthur Miller.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Where and when were you born?
Well, I was born on October 17th, 1915 in Harlem, New York.
That's interesting. What kind of education did you get?
Well, I attended the University of Michigan, and I first majored in journalism. And while I was there, I wrote for the school paper, and I wrote my first play, Nobilia.
Was that a good play?
It was actually pretty good. It made me think about becoming a playwright. And then, after that, I wrote A Man with All the Luck in 1940, which sucked. So, closed only after 4 performances.
That's depressing.
But after that, I wrote All My Sons in 1946, which opened to positive critical acclaim.
That's good. When did your career as a playwright begin?
Well, All My Sons led me to a relatively good success, but I grew bolder, so then Salesman, which premiered in 1949 to amazing results.
Congratulations on that.
Why, thank you.
What was your first big breakthrough?
Death of a Salesman.
Any prizes?
Well, actually, yes. For Death of a Salesman, I won a Tony Award for Best Author, New York Drama Circle Critics Award for and the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. Sorry, I'm so excited thinking about my memories. My speech gets mixed up.
How long did it take you to write this play?
Well, actually, when I started, it only took me less than 1 day to write the first act. And then after that, 6 weeks to finish the rest.
Wow. When did you die, and from what?
Well, after battling cancer, pneumonia, and congenital heart disease, I succumbed to heart failure on February 10th, 2005. This also happened to be the 56th anniversary of Broadway debut. Freaky, isn't it?
Very freaky. Well, it was nice interviewing you, Mr. Miller.
Hey, hi, my friend.
Goodbye.
Hello, I will be analyzing the literary devices, motifs, themes, and symbols of Death of a Salesman. Now for the themes. The first theme is the American dream. Willie believes that being well-liked and personally attractive in business will give you the chance to live in the lap of luxury in America, which completely contradicts the real American dream, which is working hard and, working hard basically, and Willie's American dream doesn't believe that at all. So, Willie's identity with being well-liked is superficial. For example, he childishly dislikes Bernard just because he's a nerd. But Bernard is actually later in the play becomes successful because he works hard. And just because you're well-liked doesn't mean you're going to be successful in life. This view of the American dream leads Willie to his rapid decline when he's unable to make himself successful. And in the end, he eventually kills himself because he cannot make himself successful. The second theme is abandonment. Throughout Willie's life, he has dealt with abandonment. First with his father leaving him when he was a very young boy, and then when Ben, his brother, leaves to go to Alaska, he abandons Willie. So Willie developed this fear of abandonment. And when Biff finds out about Willie's adultery with the woman, Biff abandons Willie. The third theme is betrayal. Willie has an obsession with Biff's betrayal of his ambitions. Biff gives up on his ambitions because when he finds out that his father was cheating on his mother with the woman, Biff does not have any will to go on or to proceed in his ambitions. However, Willie believes that he has every right to expect Biff to fulfill the promise of being successful. But when Biff leaves Willie and his ambitions, Willie takes this personally and is insulted because, after all, Willie is a salesman and feels like a failure because he cannot sell the American dream to his son. Now on to motifs. There are many mythic figures in this play. Willie compares Biff and Happy to the mythic Greek figures Adonis and Hercules because he believes that his sons are the pinnacles of attractiveness and power through being well-liked. To him, his sons seem to be the incarnation of the American dream because he believes being well-liked and attractive will get you anywhere in life. Now on to the symbols. There are seeds in this play. The seeds represent the opportunity to prove the worth of labor, and being both as a salesman and a father. It's sort of ironic because he cannot prove either of these things because he does not really work hard. He always does the same job every day. He does not try to move up in the status of his work. And he frantically plants the seeds, which shows that his shame of being unable to support his family. There are diamonds in this play which represent tangible wealth and the validation of his labor and his ability to provide for one's family, which are two things that Willie desperately craves. At the end of the play, Ben encourages Willie to enter the jungle and finally retrieve this elusive diamond, which is to kill himself for the insurance money in order to make his life meaningful so that his family can move on. And another theme, or another symbol, is the woman's stockings and Linda's stockings. Willie has a strange obsession with the condition of Linda's stockings. Whenever Linda is mending the stockings, he always freaks out and says, "No, I don't want you to have the stockings. Don't ever have those in front of me," which foreshadows later to a flashback where Willie gives Linda's stockings to his mistress, and Biff finds out, and Biff is completely devastated. And the stockings represent Willie's betrayal to his wife and his unfaithfulness. And lastly, the rubber hose, which represents Willie's desperate attempt to kill himself. And this parallels the metaphorical death that Willie feels in his struggle to afford such a basic necessity. That was our presentation of Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Thank you.
Okay. And now what should I